I'm trying to find the butt cheeks, dude.
I'm trying. Give me a second.
2, 3, 4.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome.
Episode 4.
The Blue is for Nightmares discussion. The YA novel by Lori Feria Stolars?
Sure. Stollards, whatever. I have a synopsis written by Goodreads. I got it off of Goodreads, but I made some edits where I thought they needed them.
Did you tell Goodreads?
No, but I don't really think it matters. Because it's what the publisher sends out too. So, are you ready for the synopsis?
I was born ready.
Stacy's junior year at boarding school isn't easy. She's not the most popular girl at school, or the smartest, or the prettiest. That was from Goodreads. I'm not here to editorialize. We don't really know what she looks like. They don't really explain it. She's got a crush on her best friend's boyfriend, and now she's having nightmares. The last time she had nightmares, she ignored them, and a girl died.
Dun, dun, dun.
This time they're about Drea, the aforementioned best friend, who's become the target of a psycho stalker. With everyone as a potential suspect, Stacy turns to the folk magic taught to her by her grandmother. Will that be enough to expose the killer, or will her darkest nightmares come true?
Dun, dun, dun. You forgot the most important detail. She's wetting the bed.
We're going to talk about that, so I didn't want to.
I
forgot about the bedwetting.
See, I remembered the bedwetting.
I forgot, and then I was reading it, and I was like, oh, this is so visceral. Like,
I don't think even reading it as an adult, I picked up on the reasoning behind the bedwetting. Oh, because of the Port-A-Potty.
Yeah, she was in the Port-A-Potty. She was like, she needs to go to the bathroom because
I momentarily forgot about the climax.
I think it was pretty shoehorned in there. She's in the Port-A-Potty.
Okay, here's what I want to say, first of all, because we both read this book as
tweens.
I almost said children. Tweens. And we both were saying how much we forgot when reading it. Spoilers, if you have not read it and want to, I'm spoiling it for you.
Yeah, we will be talking about just for the rest of the podcast.
Spoilers in all of these episodes.
Yeah, we're going to be going through it. We're going to spoil the episodes. Yeah. If you don't want it to be spoiled, read the book beforehand or whatever.
Go away.
No.
If you don't want to be spoiled, go away.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll come back.
But
anyway. Is it okay? Here's my question: did I just think it was so glaringly obvious that it was Donovan because the writing wasn't very good, or did I just think it was so glaringly obvious that it was Donovan because I read it before and my subconscious remembered?
I gotta say, I pretty much forgot everything about this book. And within 2 seconds of Donovan being introduced, I was like, it's Donovan.
But you've read it before. That's the thing,
But it's been over 15 years.
Yeah, me too. And I forgot. But pretty quickly, I was like, oh, I think I'm remembering that
I think she makes it really obvious that it's Donovan. And I think because
I don't remember it being that obvious when I was reading it as a 15-year-old, though.
You're 15. I think that she could have played with the idea more of it being possibly Chad. Anybody. Yeah. It could have been anybody.
I think, the elements where they tapped into that, where it was kind of this is kind of creepy, definitely I think could have been more of them.
Yeah.
And I think even maybe if Chad had ended up in the woods or something and there was a moment of, trust me, Stacy. No, trust me, Stacy.
Yeah,
that would have been very cool.
Very early on, she's like, it can't be Chad because I just don't want it to be Chad.
Yeah. I don't think Chad is smart enough to pull something like this off. Here's the other thing. Okay, so to get into a little more truncated detail of what happens, Stacy's having nightmares about needing to save Drea. And
her roommate/best friend.
And then she tells them, and then Drea starts to get messages and gifts from a stalker. She's also been talking to this guy anonymously on the phone, which is so fucking stupid. Drea, get your shit together. But
Like, I know she's 16, but girl.
yeah, like
That could be anybody.
This is
like,
not victim blaming, but like Drea.
You got to be a little smart.
But also,
So it's also, this was written in like 2003, so.
this felt very,
But it felt very 90s to me. Like, I know it was published in 2003, but like it just felt like it was in the 90s. I don't know if that was.
I mean, you're only 3 years out of the 90s then.
Yeah, but like it felt, to me, it was like this is like 93, 95.
I mean, but they had cell phones.
They had one person.
Yeah, but
and the entire campus had a cell phone.
No,
I thought it was just Amber.
no, Chad had one.
I just forgot everything about Chad. Chad is so boring.
And I'm pretty sure Donovan had a cell phone too.
Wasn't he using payphones?
Yeah, when he was being creepy, wouldn't you? I'm not gonna call somebody who I'm stalking from my actual phone number.
You can if you star like 60.
Does star 67 work nowadays?
I don't know. I think so.
Let's try it. Let me call you.
I'm on airplane mode.
Okay, well, get out of
I know.
airplane
That's
mode.
what I'm doing.
I also have to. Should I say your number on the internet?
No.
I'm kidding. I just have to copy your phone number real quick.
You don't remember it?
I don't have your number memorized. I'm so sorry.
I don't have your number memorized.
I stopped memorizing phone numbers when I got a cell phone.
I have like 4 numbers memorized.
Star 67.
What if and then I star 69 to see if I call you back, right?
Yeah. All right. The star 60,
It says Robyn Couch.
the star 67 disappeared once I started calling you. That's yeah. I mean,
Maybe it doesn't work if you have the person's number saved.
I'm not gonna delete your contact info to
No,
test it.
no, but I'm just saying. Anyway. Okay, so I forgot that more than one person had a cell phone.
I think, yeah, and I think star 69, star 67 is something that kind of erased once.
Caller ID?
No, because it still worked on my cell phone pre-smartphone.
Okay.
So I think once we got smartphones into the mix, I think we lost
Once
that.
phones got smart.
Once phones got smart, we lost that. But shoot, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Drea, where I was just kind of walking. Drea starts getting gifts and threatening messages, and then she ends up basically kidnapped in the woods because Donovan is like, "You are mine. I'm gonna convince you that I love you," and then Stacey saves the day. Yada yada yada.
And also Chad is Drea's on again, off again boyfriend that Stacey has a huge crush on.
They kissed once,
But why? Also, this is the first thing I wrote down in my notes.
yes,
I know this was written like 20 years ago, but I hate, all caps, the name Chad, and I always will.
well, now the name Chad has become
No, but I do
thing.
remember like 20 years ago, that was like the hot guy name.
yeah. But I'm saying now the
Now
name Chad
it
has become like the frat guy. Like,
Yeah.
what a Chad.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I
met
liked the name
Any frat guys
Chad
named Chad.
like 20 years ago, but now I don't like it.
I don't think I had a very strong opinion about the name Chad. I don't think I had strong opinions about names in general as a child. But nowadays we're like, what was his name? Josh.
Yeah. Like there's a writer who like all of her like in all of her books, they have like terrible names. Like they're so bad. I'm trying to think of one. It's like, one is like Ryle.
So they're not names, they're just sounds.
Yeah. Atlas. It's Colleen Hoover, if you guys couldn't tell. Or like Lowen.
Did all of these characters have celebrity parents? Because celebrities are naming their kids weird shit.
Yeah. So
I
is everybody else.
I do find it weird that people are naming their children Khaleesi.
I tried to make my sister's name is Elisa, and her son, my nephew, was born in the year of the dragon this year. And I was like, she's the mother of dragons. She's the Khaleesa. And I thought it was hilarious. She thought it was stupid. And looking at Robyn's face, I think that she agrees.
I watched one episode of Game of Thrones.
I still think it's fun. I think it's funny wordplay.
Yes, good wordplay.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
But
It's not really, yeah.
Stupid names. Also, people who name their kids something normal, but then spell it like a fucking psychopath. Like spelling Ashley with an E-I-G-H. And like, I am somebody whose name is spelled slightly differently
It's
than...
not that weird.
It's not that weird, and I'm not claiming to understand this struggle, but it is annoying to have to correct somebody often on how to spell your name.
Like my name, I have to correct people all the time because they always add 2 N's.
Yeah, I think 2 N's is the more normal.
And it's
quote unquote,
stupid.
or
It's
mainstream version.
stupid. If your name is Adriana and it's 2 N's, I hate you. I'm just kidding.
Or like, yeah, my name is Robyn, and it's not spelled with an I, it's spelled with a Y. And I mean, if like the person at the coffee shop spells her name with an I on the cup, I couldn't care less.
This is why whenever I go get takeout, or like get a coffee shop order, I use the name Anna. Super easy. I don't know why. I just started doing it recently because I used to just use my dad's name, Joe. But that would confuse people too because they're like,
Why are you using a different name, period?
because Adriana is too complicated for people. There's too many syllables. It's just, you don't understand because your name is so simple. Robyn.
I've gotten Ruben before.
But like you add extra syllables and it's very confusing. But then people would get weirded out and be like, Joe. And I'm like, hey, that's a perfectly normal girl name. Josephine. Fuck
That's
you. But Anna is just much, much simpler.
Okay, whatever. Whatever makes you happy.
Thank you. If it makes you happy.
But yeah, I just, when you spell somebody's name so weirdly, you're just being mean to your kid.
Yeah. But also, like, can you picture like an 80-year-old woman named Khaleesi?
I can't even picture myself at 80 years old.
I'm just saying, like, names, when you name a child, I think you should think about the names throughout each period of their life so that they can, like, it's something that grows with them.
Yeah, but then that brings us down to how weird is it to have a little baby named George? That doesn't make sense to me. But the name George exists in the world, and those Georges were George babies at one point.
Well, maybe they called him Jojo. I don't know.
What I'm saying is it works both ways. Some
Yeah.
names are weird. Or like Barbara,
Like
little baby
Richard.
Barbara. It's just
Ruth.
Ruth doesn't bother me.
It's a, yeah.
And also, if you think about it, though, all the names that we think are too young or old are just the names of the generation prior.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Anyway, Chad is a stupid name.
So, the character Chad, he's not bad. And I'm not trying to rhyme right now. But
He's just milquetoast. He's boring.
Yeah, he has no substance.
Like, aside from...
Is Donovan the manic pixie dream girl of this story? Because Donovan, yes, he's the bad guy, but he's like the artist. Like I sketch. I always
the
have my
thing with this
sketchbook.
is that
I'm deep.
I had, like, I still
Was
had
he on the
fun.
hockey team, Donovan?
I don't think so. The thing I noticed with this book is that each character has kind of like their little, like, I don't know, like quick notes, like version of like, so, but there's not much more than that. Like, you know, Drea eats a candy bar all the time. Diet Coke, super pretty. That's it. Stacy, witchcraft, really loves Chad. Amber, dresses really weird, is a bitch, you know, like.
Amber's like the confusing friend that's mean and not mean at the same time. That makes you like in 10 years after they graduate high school,
They're probably
if they're not friends with her anymore, they'll think, why was I friends with this person? They were kind of mean to me.
So like,
But but Amber was also
like quirky.
Yeah, she carried a Hello Kitty lunchbox as a purse,
Or like a Daffy Duck. She had like different lunchboxes as purses.
Yeah, and she, you know,
Flashed a middle-aged man.
I think that just feels like something a teenager would do.
Yeah. My point is, like, they don't have much more than like the, you know, Spark Notes character, like, synopsis. There's not much more than that.
I mean, I think Stacy has a little bit more. It's her POV.
Stacy has more depth purely because we are seeing
we're
everything
inside her
from
head.
her
We hear,
point of
we
view.
learn about her relationship with her grandma. We learn a little bit about her strained relationship with her mom. And then what happened to the little girl that she used to babysit. The other dreams she had were about this little girl she babysat, and she ignored the dreams, and then that little girl was kidnapped and murdered.
in the like same way that she saw in her dream.
Yeah, so that's also why the dreams about Drea really freak her out, because she's like, I learned my
And she's like, I
lesson.
have to do something. Like, I can't let Drea die.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, I'm just kidding.
So Chad's stupid. But here's my question though. Because there is that, and I've never been in a situation where I've had feelings for a friend's partner. Thankfully, that sounds like a very complex place to be in. In a complicated relationship like Drea and Chad's, where they're on again, off again, clearly not good for each other. I guess like, because I know there's that thing of never go for a friend's ex, you know? But I feel like sometimes, like,
it depends on the situation, and it's clear. I think Stacey's so conflicted about it because it's clear to Stacey that Drea doesn't really have deep feelings for Chad. She kind of just likes to have him there.
She likes the idea of Chad
more than Chad.
And there's also a lot of games of let me make him it's more of a, I think,
she wants to keep him on the hook.
And she wants to feel wanted and superior and have a leg up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't.
And it's Stacey, like, is really, really into Chad. Like, Stacey loves Chad.
Yeah. But I guess, like, I just want to, it's so complicated anyway. On one hand, I see don't go for a friend's ex, especially if they're in an on-again, off-again thing, because odds are they're gonna end up back together at some point if that's their pattern. But I also feel like, at least, and I know we said Chad is boring, and I'm not condoning this, but the spark that they have and the connection that is made clear in the story that they have makes me feel like you should be allowed. Granted, I think the way to approach this type of thing would be, like, if you were dating a guy, hypothetical, I'm not going to use your actual boyfriend because that would make me feel weird. Let's say you were dating, give me another annoying dude name. Jason. Sorry to all the Jasons out there.
The only thing that came into my head was Chad. And then I was like, Chaz. And I was like, no.
Chaz. Okay, let's say you were dating a guy named Jason and you broke up and I really liked him. The way for me to approach that, if I realized we had a connection, would be to approach you and say, hey, I'm noticing this thing. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. It's like that whole Friends storyline with Joey and Chandler. I'm Adriana. I make references to TV shows all the time.
Oh, with Kathy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it, like, Joey they didn't really have a connection, but she and Chandler had a connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And Joey says, if you had just told me, I would have stepped aside.
Yeah.
And
then they did that again with Charlie and Ross.
Right.
Poor Joey.
I've never cross-pollinated boys in my social circle.
So, like, my friend Olivia and I had, like, a boyfriend in 6th grade. And I use air quotes because we never kissed. We didn't hold hands. We didn't go out on the weekends. We just ate lunch together. So it's like...
That's a 6th grade boyfriend.
Yeah. So, and then we broke up. I don't know, whatever. And then my friend, it was like a couple of years later, I think we were in high school. And she was like, I like him. Like, is it okay for me to go out with him? And I was like, yeah, like, we're barely anything. You're good. I don't care. So it was like similar situation, but the difference is that she talked to me about it.
Also, yes, she should have talked to you about it, but also you guys were never, like, truly dating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But it was still nice of her to just come up and be like, I know you guys had this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It seems so complicated.
And it's like, oh, there was one time in high school where my friend and I did like the same guy. And it turned out that the guy didn't like me and he liked my friend. And so I was like, okay, I got no skin in the game. That's like, go for it.
That feels a little bit different because And that can blow up in other ways for sure. But
Yeah.
that feels different because neither of you were already dating this person.
No.
You both just realized you liked the same person.
But then
and
she was like, he liked
liked
her. She was like, is it okay if I go out with him? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It breaks my brain to think about it. Because also in this story, I also don't think Drea or Stacey or any of them have the emotional maturity to have that conversation.
No, all of them have, except for Stacey, have the emotional maturity of a teaspoon.
Stacey's fairly
No,
immature.
I said except Stacey. All of them except Stacey.
No, I'm saying Stacey's very immature as well.
Yes, but she has more, like, she's a little more mature than them.
Not by much.
Yeah, I know, but like the bar is so low.
Yeah, because I feel like the way Drea acts,
She's such a brat sometimes.
very brat, very like rich family. I mean, they're all at boarding school.
Daddy issues.
Yeah, her parents are getting divorced. Like, she's a teenager. She doesn't know how to. I have empathy for her, but
Yeah, I don't want to be like, but I don't know.
I don't think she would have. I think if Stacey had gone up to her and said, because it's also obvious. You can tell that Drea knows as well.
Especially because whenever Chad is there, they just end up staring at each other.
Yeah, there's
But
lots
then,
of
like,
staring at each other's
There was
lips.
one time where Stacey's like, I guess it's like really bad. Like I shouldn't flirt with Chad in front of Drea. And I'm like, are you flirting with him? You're just looking at him. You're just looking at him and like feeling things. She's not really talking to him.
Yeah, but I feel like when you feel guilty about something in that situation, I feel like everything you do feels as if it's glaringly obvious.
I think I
what's
wrote
going
down
on.
it would have been way more interesting if she actually was doing some flirting. Like if she just couldn't help herself, but like flirt with him.
I think Chad more notably flirts with her.
Yes. And Stacey is just like,
Yeah, but going back to the communication is key thing, I don't know if Drea would have the wherewithal to do that because also in that situation too, Drea could have initiated that conversation and been like, hey, I've been noticing some stuff. I'm not going to be mad at you. Do you want to have a conversation? It appears that you have feelings for Chad.
Yeah.
What's up?
yeah.
Because it does end up blowing up in their faces. Obviously, there's a night where Chad comes over to like study, and also Stacey was being harassed by the guy on the phone, and Drea's not there.
Yeah, Drea's like was getting really freaked out, so she's like, I'm gonna spend the night.
Yeah, she went to an aunt's house who lives near the campus, and Chad came over, and they did make out a little bit,
but nothing more than
nothing crazy, and then they ended up falling asleep
in the same
Stacey,
bed.
and Stacey peed the bed.
Poor Stacey, man. That is
Stacey.
so embarrassing.
Yeah, have you ever peed the bed as somebody within the age range that shouldn't?
No.
Oh, I have.
But I knew this guy in college who
Being drunk doesn't count.
I know, but it happened to him on more than one occasion.
But I feel like peeing the bed
But
after
he would get
going
like
to bed drunk doesn't count
But
because
he would
that's
get
very common.
so drunk that it happened like all the time. All the time it happened, Robyn.
But that sounds like an alcohol
no,
problem.
No, it does sound like an alcohol
not a bladder problem.
But he like peed the bed with a girl in the bed like multiple times too. And I was like, man, my dude, you gotta do something. This is not.
His problem is probably specifically that he was so drunk he wouldn't think I should go pee before going to bed.
Yeah, but like it just happened like once is, that's, it happens.
Yeah.
Twice, okay, maybe you gotta like watch yourself when you drink, but like this was like more than 10 times.
I mean, definitely if I started to notice a pattern, I would personally self-reflect.
Yeah.
The 2 times I've peed the bed as not an adult is like once I was 13.
Okay.
And then another time was when I was like, I think 16.
Okay.
And what happened was, and this is why I'm not embarrassed because I know we can all relate to
I've
this close to
definitely like
happening.
almost peed the bed
Because
when I was like,
in my dreams, both of them, I really had to pee, and I found a bathroom in the dreams, and I started peeing in my dream. And then I specifically remember like sitting on a toilet in one of them and feeling it kind of run down my leg and being confused and thinking, why is this not going straight into the toilet? And then waking up and just peeing. And it's just like, and I've definitely had dreams before where I've woken up and been like, ooh, that was close. I should go pee.
yeah, like I've almost done that.
And that's kind of what's happening to Stacey. She has to pee really bad in her dream, and it's something that's really present, and then
It's like, yeah, the dream is like,
yeah.
the peeing the bed is not like a condition that she is dealing with like outside of the dreaming. It is a side effect of the nightmares.
No, but then
But it's still embarrassing, especially at boarding school.
especially, I mean, as a teenager, right? Because I'm 30, those 2 moments I had at like 13 and 16 don't bother me.
Yeah.
Because
also-
it's not a chronic I think if I had a chronic peeing the bed
Yeah.
problem, I think I'd be more embarrassed. But those were just 2 things where it's like, oh, my brain just got confused for a minute.
Yeah, but it was also like you peed the bed at your house.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody with me.
And, you know, your family, your mom, your parents, they're not really going to judge you.
No.
I mean, they might. I don't know. But ultimately, they're going to help you.
I think 13-year-old me told, I was at my dad's house. I told him, and then 16-year-old me just dealt with it herself.
Yeah. So, like, but like, you weren't surrounded by friends / frenemies.
Oh no,
That's so much worse.
yeah, and on top of it, so she peed the bed with Chad in it, and Drea comes home and catches them, and then
And she also peed the bed in Drea's pajama bottoms.
yeah, she was wearing Drea's cute little pajama bottoms.
Yeah, because Chad is coming over and she wanted to look nice.
yeah, and she only had other soiled sweatpants because she keeps
kept
peeing the bed.
She kept peeing in her sweatpants. She's like, just don't wear pants to bed.
Or just, girl, this is where I think it would be safe to buy pull-ups.
Because Drea's not going to know.
No,
And then you wouldn't have to like, yeah.
clean up.
Yeah. Seems
Yeah.
like a lot of work. Also, the stalker steals her pee-stained laundry because she was trying to do laundry. And then, anyway, back to Chad.
Chad bugs me. Okay, wait, I do want to say one thing.
Yes.
PJ.
I thought you were going to talk more about peeing.
What if I just peed right now? No, PJ. If this book was written today, PJ would be the gay friend, right?
That's what I said. I wrote it down. If he wasn't gay, he would be bi.
Definitely not a straight dude.
No, and I still don't think he is reading this. Like, sure, I think that's why he's so obsessed with getting Amber back. So that Amber can be his beard.
And Amber gives me bi vibes.
Right? I think I wrote down, if this book was written today, Stacy would definitely be bi. She would have a crush on Drea and Chad.
Maybe.
Like, I got some like,
I think it's a blurry.
am I projecting? I don't know.
You might be projecting because, but I understand where you're coming from based on what I've heard other bi people or later coming out lesbians talk about, where they were like, oh, my fixation on the bodies of the other women in my life, I didn't realize were attraction. I thought I was just jealous.
No, and I had the same.
I do hear where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I had the same thing where there was like, spoiler alert, I'm bisexual. Where I would be like watching TV shows and like really fixating on like certain characters, and it was like, for a while it was like, oh yeah, no, I just want to be that person, and then it was kind of me realizing like, oh no, I want to be with them.
Yeah.
You know, and like certain times they were like, yeah, I want to be more like that person because
Yeah.
you're trying on different personalities, but you know.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a blurry line, because I, as far as I know, am not bisexual. I always say as far as I know because I'm not much of a label person, and I'm pretty, I feel very heterosexual, but I'm not locking myself into anything. But I do feel like I am on the side of admiration and envy for like certain physical features of women. And I have, when I heard those clips of other women online talking about, you know, discovering their sexuality, I was like, oh, let me sit with that. Because also I've had a lot of people in my life tell me they think I'm gay. To the point, it's enough people where I've genuinely sat with myself and self-reflected, because I was like, this has happened enough that maybe the queer community knows something I don't.
She's not.
I still don't think so.
No, I mean, sexuality is a spectrum, but like,
And if we have to get labely, I feel very demisexual if we want to get down to it. But I'm not going to start.
And I'm like
preaching that I'm a part of the queer community.
I'm like fairly, like this journey for me figuring out that I'm bisexual is fairly new. But I don't. For now, I'm calling myself bisexual, but I feel like I have more attraction than just the two genders. Like I think I'd be attracted to like all the genders. But you know, we'll we'll see how I choose to, self-reference later. But for now, I'm just calling myself bisexual.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Congratulations. Thank you.
But because of that, like, I've genuinely sat with myself, especially understanding like admiration and envy for the way other women's bodies look. I am very insecure and I have a lot of body image issues. So I think when I do that, I don't think it's attraction. I think it's genuinely on the side of self-hatred.
And I think that's why it took me so long to realize that, because I also have body image issues and like not gender dysphoria, body dysphoria. Dysmorphia. Thank you. What the fuck?
The words are very similar.
Body dysmorphia. So like it was a lot of it was a good mix of that.
Yeah, and so that's why I do think it's a blurry line and that is one cool thing about books too, right? Like you're reading it and you're able to look at Stacy through your lens of being like, oh, maybe she's bisexual. And I'm looking at it as this girl who just feels inferior to her very conventionally attractive roommate and likes her boyfriend. Both things could be true. Yeah. Neither could be true.
And this is why it's like interesting to get people's perspectives on reading.
Yeah. But I do for sure think PJ and Amber, for sure.
Yeah. They gotta be like.
Not fully hetero.
No.
Yeah. No heteronormativity there.
No.
That was my throat. Did you hear that?
I did hear
It wasn't even a burp. It was just my throat.
No, sometimes your throat makes weird noises.
Does that in acting class when really intimate things are happening, and I hate it. But let's talk about Amber for a second, because I
forgot about Amber completely. And then she came on the page and I was like, oh.
I did forget about her up until she entered the scene. But what I did remember, and I think this is just the teenage desire to be different, but I remember really liking her character as a teenager.
I did too. And
because I wanted to be like kind of quirky and funny and different and sassy and
reading it now,
speak my mind.
I actually kind of hated her.
I didn't like her a lot of the time. We all understand using humor to cope, but
I'm the queen of that.
But she would use it. She wouldn't read the room. You really have to read the room when you're using humor to cope. And if you keep making jokes when that's clearly not the space that people are in, you just become the tone deaf asshole.
And she was also making jokes about other people, not herself.
Yeah. And some of the jokes she made about the situation were funny. And I enjoyed them. So that personality trait is a great one, but she just lived in that zone a little too far, and just a lot of situations where she wasn't listening and things were getting too intense. Drea's having a panic attack and Amber seemingly doesn't care.
Yeah. Their classmate gets murdered and Amber a lot of people. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Veronica.
Because
with the hairspray.
Veronica is like the popular girl, bitchy popular girl. I don't know. They're really mean to other women in this, and I want to talk about that more. So I think Veronica's whole plan with faking getting the stalking letters is to scare Drea away so that once Drea is gone, she can have Chad, which is so lame. Like, once the other girl is gone, then that man will want me.
Also, it's so complicated.
It is not a good plan. But she's also 16.
Yeah, but it would have just made more sense to me if she was like, wow, look at all this attention Drea's getting because she's this, like, I want that attention. Like, that would make more sense to me than this weirdly intricate plan to get Chad.
Yeah, and it's kind of just like an evil, like, ha, 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 ha. Like,
yeah, but then Donovan finds that out and tells her to back off.
Yeah, she actually starts getting real letters because Donovan is like, back off, bitch.
I think she got one.
Yeah, it's just one. And then Donovan hacks into Chad's email, sends her a fake email saying like, hey, meet me.
Yeah, I know you were cheating in our French class. I found this thing. If you want this proof that you cheated back, meet me at the classroom.
Yeah, and it was also another way for him to implicate Chad.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty smart.
Yeah, he was trying to frame Chad.
Yeah. And then she dies, but like nobody really cares that Veronica dies, and she's like straight up, she was murdered. They all know that she was murdered.
Yeah, they get over it really quickly.
The only one who really cares is Stacy. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, if somebody at my school was murdered on campus, even if I didn't like her, that would still be really upsetting to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if I didn't like her, does she deserve to get murdered? Like, I would say no, unless she was a Nazi. I don't know. You know,
like where are we going with this?
It would have to be really extreme for me to be like, yeah, she got what she deserved.
Yeah.
But everyone is very blasé about it.
Amber in particular, she checked in to make sure, or I think all she said to Stacy, because Stacy found the body.
Yeah, which is also very traumatic for Stacy.
And Stacy and Chad found the body.
Yeah.
And that's also when Chad got more implicated.
Yeah, the cops are like...
Because Stacy fainted and the cops showed up with Stacy fainted, Veronica on the floor dead, and Chad just being like, ooh. But yeah, it was interesting. And I think a part of that is YA writers leaning heavily into the like attention span, just keep this train moving thing.
That is what it felt like.
Which, and what I said to Adriana when I first started reading this was this feels significantly more YA than Sarah Dessen books.
Yeah.
Sarah Dessen books have their YA vibes, but this just felt... I feel like you could categorize a Sarah Dessen. You could convince somebody a Sarah Dessen novel might not be YA.
I mean, yeah, like Perks of Being a Wallflower, I would say I would consider that a YA book.
Yeah, but
At
it's
the
not.
store, we shelve it in fiction.
Yeah, it's not shelved with YA. Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah.
So I feel like Sarah Dessen has that fluidity to it, but this is just aggressively YA.
Yeah.
The writing in particular, one thing where I write.
Did you write down the same thing that I wrote down?
On the last page?
Yeah. Yes. I'm so happy.
Shoot, hold on. Let me find it.
And it's this thing that I have an issue with closed door romances as well, which is what YA is. Closed door essentially means that there is no sex on the page. If they do have sex, they kiss and then cut away, similar to how they do in a PG-13 rom-com. What I find happens a lot in closed door romances is they say we kissed and then we kissed. And then just when we couldn't kiss anymore, we kissed again. And I'm like, I need more.
Yeah, but I need
more.
But I didn't need this. So
I needed this.
She describes a kiss with Chad as a 5-alarm hot wasabi. What?
Sexalicious.
Sexalicious. My phone autocorrected it when I wrote it down. Sexalicious kiss. And
that to me sounds like the author is trying to
be a teenager,
similar to how like this keeps coming back to Buffy, how Buffy talks, you know. I think that's what she was trying to do, and it didn't quite work.
No, I really could have lived my whole life without that sentence being a part of my subconscious now. I really didn't like that.
Just makes me think of Fergalicious.
I just don't want...
There's ways of writing a kiss scene without doing that.
I don't want a hot wasabi kiss.
No, wasabi's too hot.
Wasabi, I don't want my sinuses to clear while I'm kissing somebody.
Robyn and I both used to work at a sushi restaurant, a vegan sushi restaurant, and we had to make the wasabi. And you had to like wear gloves because if the wasabi got onto your skin, it would burn.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't want that in a kiss.
I don't think she meant there was actual wasabi.
No, I know, but like...
It's just a weird way to describe something as hot. I don't like when people are describing something as sexy hot with food hot things.
That's fair.
I don't like it.
It's fair. But I think it's just this, whenever they kiss too, it's just like we kissed and it was like, it was a really hot kiss and kiss, kiss, kiss. And she just uses kiss. It's very repetitive. And I think that could have been written better.
I mean, I feel like we also didn't need the anonymous phone call person for Drea too.
Like for the anonymous phone call.
Like going just to writing and story wise, I don't think we needed her to have this, you know, like secret relationship with a stranger on the phone.
Because in a weird way, like I'm reading this from the lens of a 30-year-old. Like, but I remember when I was reading this, I was like, she's in my little unformed brain. I was like, this is Drea's fault. You know, that's kind of what it makes you feel
Yeah.
like. She's kind of like asking for it, which is, of course, not the case at all, but it is stupid.
But to me, all of that is accurate. But I think purely from a mystery story position, it just makes it way too obvious that there's clearly a stalker in her life.
Yeah.
It makes it, because Stacey's having dreams, she's stressed about that, and then immediately you learn that she's talking on the phone with somebody mysterious.
Drea is talking
Yeah,
about the phone.
Drea. Of course, you think to yourself,
This is connected.
yeah, and I don't need that. She already had a repertoire with Donovan at school, and she would already use Donovan to try to make Chad jealous. I think that's enough. I don't need. And then as things progress, we could have had them start to get creepy phone calls in their dorm room.
I think that would have been
But
good.
I don't think we needed that foundation laid out of Drea was already talking to somebody.
And I also think that we didn't really spend that much time with Donovan throughout the book. I think that it would have been, you know, more impactful and more of a twist.
Yeah.
If we had spent more time with Donovan on the page and got to know him through Stacey's eyes as like, oh, he's just a really sweet guy who's like really in love with Drea.
Yeah, I would have also liked to see a little bit more of the dynamic of him hanging out in the group without Drea so aggressively flirting with him to make Chad jealous.
And also, Chad and Donovan are roommates, but you would never know that unless they specifically tell you, because those two boys never talk to each other. And I would have been interested to know their dynamic, especially because Donovan isn't clearly in love with Drea and Chad has this on again, off again relationship with her.
And men can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that sort of thing evokes a less visceral thing in men than women.
No, but it's interesting because it's mirroring the two girls' relationship.
Yeah, it is also interesting that there's never a moment where Chad acknowledges it.
Yeah, even if he's saying like, oh, you know, he's being really weird lately, or like, oh, I think he's mad at me or something. You know, just something to give a snapshot of what their dynamic is.
Yeah, because the girls also never end up in the boys' dorm rooms, but the boys always end up in the girls' dorm rooms.
Yeah. Also, do we ever know what the school is called?
If it is mentioned, it's once.
Yeah. I wrote that at the very end of my notes. I was like, do we ever know the name of this boarding school?
I don't know. Boarding schools are such a mystery to me, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, why would you? This definitely made me want to go to a boarding school.
Yeah.
But
I craved the...
no parents?
I think I craved the facade of being an adult.
Yeah.
Also, you know, Zoe 101, they were at a boarding school.
Yeah. This came at like around the same time.
So, yeah. But what's so funny about it, I was thinking about this too. I dormed my first year at Cal State Long Beach. I am not built for the dorm life. I'm not extroverted enough. I had a really hard time making friends. I really didn't get to know anybody in my dorm hall just because I was so like, nobody's introducing themselves to me, so I'm not going to introduce myself to them. I don't know if maybe 15, 16-year-old me would have maybe been better at it had I gone to a boarding school, because also it's probably structured with less, you know, freedom than colleges.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I craved it, but I'm definitely not built for sharing my space in that way, and I'm not built for
sharing your room.
That's what I mean by sharing my space.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
But just like that constant socializing aspect of it.
I had a hard time like making friends on my floor because all of the girls, I'm not trying to be like they're all the same, but like we just had different interests. The majority of the girls on my floor were Christian. So they were either like Christian, so they were in like the crusade thing or whatever on campus. Crew. It was like, you know, Christian group. I don't know. They call it crew, but it was like short for crusades. But they were like, we can't call it that anymore.
Was definitely accosted by a Christian group.
Anyway,
on my
so like
college
the
campus.
girls would invite me to that. I would be like, I'm Jewish, and they just I'm not, like I'm ethnically but not religious.
Yeah.
Or they were really into sororities.
That's a good one. I should have known to just tell people I was Jewish.
Because we had a lot of people like in the quad, like kind of handing out flyers, and they would always come over to me and be like, I'm Jewish, and they just give up.
But they wouldn't even, that's the thing that I find, they wouldn't even try to convince you that the Bible has more than one part.
Sometimes they would, but you know, I just say I'm Jewish and keep walking. So like I didn't really stick around. But yeah, so either they were really hardcore Christian, which is fine. I have no problem with that. It's not,
do.
It is when you're trying to like convert people, but like once I let them know I wasn't interested, they kind of backed off, and that's fine with me. Or they were really into sorority and Greek life, which is another thing that I'm not into, and it's fine if you want to do it. It's just not my thing. I got along really well with those girls, but we didn't really form any deep friendships.
You coexisted.
Yeah, we coexisted really well. I have no problem with any of them. It's just we didn't have that much in common. Yeah. It's like if you want to do your own thing, do your own thing. But like the things they were doing were just not for me.
Yeah. I didn't know anybody that well in my dorm area.
Mm-hmm.
But
definitely romanticizes boarding schools.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you're a teenager and you want the freedom to, and boarding schools are probably very strict with curfews, and also it alludes in this that boys aren't allowed in the girl dorms and vice versa.
They get around that all the time, though.
Of course, teenagers are going to figure that out, but they have a lot of rules. But I think when you are a teenager living at home, you know, you desire not having to ask your parents before going places.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to be able to go.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
Can we talk about how crazy it was that Stacy found a dead body and convinced her mother not to come up to school to check on her daughter?
I don't think that's too crazy based on
their relationship.
the little pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just like, if that was my daughter, I wouldn't listen to anything that she told me. I would come up there anyway because you found a dead body.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe this is stereotyping, but I also feel like parents who send their
Kids to boarding
school kind of don't want that
pretty
much to do with
they're
them.
pretty checked out.
So
Also,
it's
there was
not that surprising to me
Yeah.
that all the parents are fairly absent.
Yeah. There's also another part that has nothing to do with what I just said, but they were like watching Veronica outside of her dorm room, and they were like, it's been really quiet in there. I'm like, you idiots. She went out the window like 20 fucking minutes ago. Are you fucking kidding me? They climb out of the window all the time, and they didn't realize that Veronica was going to do the same thing.
I think the guys are always climbing in the window.
Yeah, but Amber was doing that too.
When?
I don't know, the chocolate thing? I don't remember.
No, she was using the door.
Whatever. People climb through windows.
Usually it's the boys getting into the girl dorms who are climbing through the windows.
But like it's
Amber would use the door because she's a girl and she was allowed to go into another girl's dorm.
Amber is just so weird she can't use a door.
I don't think Amber ever climbed through the window.
Whatever. It's a known thing to climb through windows. So I'm just saying it's not that big of a leap to realize that. I think I wrote down. Where did I write down? There was a moment where I wrote down, does Veronica die? And then 2 seconds later, I was like, I knew it.
I do understand them not jumping to that conclusion because they don't think she has a reason to climb out her window.
That's true.
Like, they don't realize she knows they're there, but she climbs out her window because she knows they're watching her.
Yeah, because they're right outside of her door.
Yeah, but like, you know,
They're not really subtle about the fact that they're watching her.
none of them are subtle. They're, you know, screaming in the hallways about it. Like, it's. I mean, also, I'm also annoyed by the campus police.
Well, I was like reading this. I was like, why didn't they report? And they were like, oh, Amber made them mad because she like prank called them.
Yeah, but also I feel like the campus police would be very likely to brush off concerns from.
Yeah.
Like, it took them a long time to even get their window fixed.
Yeah. And also when they eventually did report it, they're like, we can't really do anything until something happens.
And that is unfortunately the reality with situations like stalking. They really can't do anything until you're in active danger.
Yeah. And like,
so it's unfortunate. I'm not saying that's right. I think we need better stalking laws.
We definitely do.
I think reporting it is one thing, but they would have been brushed off because Amber also was an idiot and kind of fucked it up.
Yeah, she did.
What a dumb bitch.
But it's always like, I was like, you need to report it just so that you have like a paper trail, you know? That you have like records. Of course, they're 16 and they're not going to think about that.
I wouldn't have thought about that at 16.
Yeah. I think I wrote, this book just proves how useless the stalker laws are in this country.
Yeah. Definitely. Where are they?
I don't know.
East Coast?
Unclear. They literally could be anywhere.
I get East Coast vibes.
It could be East Coast, and also to me, it could be like Northern California or like, like Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd like woodsy. Though,
Yeah.
just because there's a lot of woods.
Yeah.
outside
That's so like, more rural
Campus.
parts of California.
How much does boarding school cost?
A fuck ton, I bet.
As much or more than state school tuition?
I have no idea.
I'm curious.
Yeah, you really want to, you got to really want your kids out of the way to pay for that.
Yeah, I mean, but if you have enough money and you just don't want them around.
Why have kids in the first place?
Because people feel like they have to.
Yeah.
And then they realize they don't want them.
Can we talk a little bit about Drea's relationship with Stacy?
Yeah.
So this kind of touches into something we were talking about in the chit chat, our first chit chat episode about like teenage female relationships.
How complex they are.
About how complex they are.
Yeah.
I think this book was pretty like Stacy and Drea's relationship to me is like it's the core of the novel. That's what drives everything forward. Mm-hmm. It's what drives Stacy to want to protect Drea because they're best friends.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand why because Drea was kind of mean to Stacy for a lot of the book.
Yeah. But she's also oddly accepting of Stacy's Wicca.
Yeah, so that is a good point. Like she just is like, oh, that's just, that's something Stacy does.
Yeah, and I feel like something like that somebody's taking as seriously as she is. Like I feel like somebody like Amber would do it for show. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if you do take a practice like that very seriously as a teenager, that is very easy to be teased about and made fun of. And Drea never does. She's just says things like, yeah, it smells like incense. You've been burning a lot of incense. What is this? Like she just asks questions sometimes, but she's very accepting of it. Mm-hmm. And if she wasn't, I feel like that would be a really complicated living situation for Stacey.
I think so too. So that is a good point. But I feel like there's just
not excusing her behavior.
No,
I do think they care about each other.
I do too. I think we think that they care about each other because we're told constantly that they care about each other, and I think we could have been showed that a little more.
Yeah, because it also felt weird to me when the lipstick note on the mirror in the bathroom was written, and Stacy says, "You're my best friend. I'm gonna help you figure this out." In my head, I was just like, "Oh, right, you guys are best friends, not just roommates."
Yeah, and it's just like. Especially because the breakdown of their relationship is also something that drives the plot forward as well.
Yeah.
And again, she's like, I think at one point Stacey's like saying like, oh, it's no understatement that we haven't been getting along as well. And I was like, there's like one instance where they were kind of like a little snippy with each other. And I think when Stacey was like, why are you looking at Chad? Why are you having dreams about Chad?
Stacey said that?
Drea.
Okay.
Drea, like there's just like one or two instances where they're just like a little snippy with each other, and I feel like we could have been shown more. I think it would have been more interesting to kind of have their relationship break down more, because it would have been like another
break down more slowly, because it really unraveled after she caught Chad.
No, I know this is before.
Yeah. So you think it should have started devolving sooner?
I think so too, and in more ways, because I think that would have also been interesting, like for Stacey to have these two conflicting thoughts of like, gosh, Dre is being such a bitch right now, but I still have to, save her, and there was a little bit of that, and I think she could have played with that more. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, I think that just ties into the thing that I said earlier about how some YA authors just feel they need to keep the ball rolling. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that would have slowed things down.
Yeah.
I think us as adults would have appreciated it, but I think for 15-year-old me, it was fine.
Yeah. Because this novel moves very quickly.
Yeah.
It's fast moving.
Yeah. Definitely the stalking escalates pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I think that was just like, it to me reads like a first novel because it's just like, boom, I have to hit all of these moments. Boom, 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 boom. I need to move through these moments.
This thing and I have to, connect the dots.
Yeah, instead of kind of like realizing the little deeper parts or the slower parts that could add more spice to the book.
Yeah.
Not spices in sex. Spices in like interesting stuff. I don't know. I'm not explaining it
I
well.
didn't jump to sex when you said spices.
I know, but like because people say spicy.
Yeah, but those are different words.
Yeah, I know. Oh, are they?
I miss flip phones.
I had a razor. Did you have a razor?
I wanted a razor so bad. I never got one. I did have an NV.
Okay. I also had a chocolate.
I remember I miss the days of
What
everyone
they like.
having a different phone.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. There were so many like competing, like, oh, this person has a razor. This person has an envy. This person has a chocolate.
What was the one where the screen like rotated? What was that one? With the keyboard and the screen like spun out. What was it called? Was
it the chocolate? Because
No.
the chocolate slid up. I don't remember.
The chocolate didn't have a full keyboard though.
I think I had one of the later versions that did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the one that was like a brick screen and then you'd push it and the screen would like flip
I
up.
can't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what it's
That's
called.
gonna bother me.
If you know what it's called.
I really wanted one of those. But then I got a maroon NV that looked like a normal like brick phone and then you opened it.
Mhm.
That one was fun.
Yeah, that was like, I had a white chocolate that did that.
But I miss a flip phone. I miss shutting a flip phone.
It was very satisfying.
Yeah.
And it's also like you flip it up and then you have the little antenna and you're just like, I'm doing important things with my business, you know?
Yeah.
You know how people put in like scripts like for Grey's Anatomy where it's like medical stuff and they don't know what the term
Medical,
is, so they
medical?
put medical.
Yeah.
I use that for business.
But I do miss a flip phone. There's
Yeah.
just something nice about reading a book in this time where not everybody had a cell phone yet. And then, Amber had one, but it was always dead because she never charged it.
Same girl.
Whereas nowadays, if you have a dead phone, you're panicking.
You're fucking screwed.
So, I really
I
T9 texting.
I used to have that problem all the time when I was a kid. That my phone would when I was like a tween teenager.
It was so
my phone
normal.
would die all the time.
It was so normal to just be like, oh shit, my phone died.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. I enjoyed
And
it.
then you have to text, the
T9 texting.
T9 texting with the, oh my God. This just brings you back.
Yeah.
You want to talk more about the witchcraft?
I don't know. There is a lot to touch on.
I think it's interesting that,
The potato thing is a real thing.
oh yeah, where she has a cut and she,
I haven't seen it with a cut, but I've heard people say, and take this with a grain of salt. I have also never tried it. It's questionable. If you're sick, put a potato on your foot and put a sock on and sleep with it. And supposedly it drains like the toxins from your body. But the potato lore comes from a real place.
yeah. I think it's interesting to me that, in this, Stacy I think she's technically like a Wiccan. She's a witch in that she practices like Wicco.
But she's also a psychic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of like the rituals and stuff that she's doing are more like Wiccan traditions, and then she has like psychic dreams. But I thought that was really interesting because, especially at that time period, like Harry Potter was like the thing. So it was just like an interesting like difference, especially because Wiccan, I don't know, it's like a legit practice that people do. So it's like
Yeah.
you didn't really get many books about a person who was a Wiccan.
No, yeah, that's true because Harry Potter is magical people existing within a magical world.
Exactly.
And this is a magical person existing in our world.
Yes.
Yeah, and they definitely touch on a lot of elements of spirituality that are popular nowadays, like mindset and energy.
Yeah.
And
at the time this came out, this was pretty like not mainstream. Now it's more popular.
Yeah, it's a little more popular to have crystals and be that type
I have
of person.
crystals. I didn't bring any, but I'm really jealous of your crystal cauldron.
Thank you.
I fucking love it.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, and they make the protection bottle for
Yeah.
Drea.
I thought
she
that was a
carries
cute
around.
moment where
Yeah.
like anytime Drea was scared, like Drea has a problem with panic attacks. And so, which I thought was also interesting to cover because at that point in time, not many people were talking about having panic attacks like that.
Especially, I think someone like Drea would be very
like because she has to be
reluctant,
perfect,
to admit anything like that.
It was a sweet moment where Drea was kind of freaking out, and Stacey made her this protection bottle, and it was kind of like a talisman for Drea after that. And it was really like after the whole confrontation with Donovan, like Stacey gives the protection bottle back to Drea, and she like holds it the entire time she's talking to the police.
Yeah.
I thought that was sweet.
And once again, in all of Amber's flaws too, she did participate in the rituals that Stacey needed her to and would go with it. So
she would crack some jokes about it, but she was there.
She would crack jokes, but she would do the damn thing. And yeah, I think all these people in Stacey's life have their flaws, but they all just accept it. Or even that first night when we first meet Amber and Stacey pulls out cards to do a reading for Drea, Amber just jumps in and is like, "Oh, we're doing a reading." Like,
well, she's the whole thing. She's like, "I want you to make me a love spell, Stacey. I want you to make me a love potion, a love spell."
Teasy, but it's not poo-pooing it.
Yeah, they're not like ostracizing her because she's
and I do think that's cool, and that is probably why she puts up with a lot of shit from them too, because not everybody would react to a practice like that.
Yeah, I did appreciate. So, I mean, spoiler alert, like Drea tells Chad, like, "Oh, you can have her. She wets the bed," which was such a mean thing. But like right before that had been happening, she and Amber had been making like little snide comments
about
peeing the bed to Stacey. They were just like implying, but like really, if you didn't know, and most of the people, like it was like PJ and Chad and Donovan.
No
one
else knew.
But like it was kind of just like needling like Stacey, and then all of a sudden, Drea's like, "Stacey, what's the bed?" And Amber's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah, Amber does stand up for Stacey, which I do think is cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like a nice moment of like, I can make fun of her, but like you can't do, you know.
Yeah, like Amber saying, "Dude, if I'm telling you crossed the line, that means you really crossed the line because I push the line all the time." But yeah, I do just find it interesting that even while Drea was so mad at Stacey, they still like ate lunch together and hung out together.
I know, like there was never a point where they were just not hanging out with each other.
I find that so bizarre because if I was fighting with friends, we wouldn't sit together in high
is
school.
That just like a case of them being in a boarding school? And how many kids were in their class? Like how big is this boarding school? We don't really know.
No, I'm not well versed in boarding school life.
I will say this book is also a very good example of you always keep your blinds closed, especially at night. Because Donovan was like peeping on everybody.
I change with my blinds open all the time.
Nobody. Yeah, but you're on, you also live in a backyard.
I live in a guest house.
Yeah. So like, you know.
Yeah.
I change with my blinds open all the time, but I'm in the very back of and I'm also like make sure to keep away. I'm not changing like right in front of the window so that my neighbors can't like look down and be like, "Oh, look, there's Adriana. She's naked again." Yeah.
I'm actually going to rephrase do whatever you want with your windows. Men, stop peeping on women.
Yeah. But it's also like I don't know. I always get really freaked out at night just because the lights are on and it's illuminated. I'm just like, I'm going to close the blinds because I don't want anybody peeping in. And it's a thing where like if I see movement, like if I saw my neighbors walking around and the lights were on and I could at night and I could see them, I would look because I am a dog. And if I see movement, I'd look.
Yeah.
But it just makes me, I've read too many true crime things where the serial killer's like literally right outside the bedroom, just like looking in.
Yeah.
Which freaks me out.
It is freaky when you can't see out a glass window at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad's house growing up had 2 big sliding glass doors down like in the kitchen and living room area.
Yeah. My parents' house too.
When I would house sit for them, I would be down in the living room watching TV until pretty late, and then it would always be that thing where you shut off the lights and you sprint upstairs because you're just so scared.
Or if I like had to like let my dog or cat in from the like I would have to keep away from the glass because I'd be like, what if somebody just like pops up right at the glass, like, which is literally what Chad does to Stacey, I think.
when
I think he's like in his
over.
hockey mask. He's like playing a prank on her.
Oh, to tell. No, he does that he's on his way to hockey practice to tell Drea that he has to cancel there or whatever. Just looking to see what else I wrote. Oh, I do have a note in here that has nothing to do with this, but I think my edible kicked in. I just, one note in the middle of my notes that just says, why is Bluetooth called Bluetooth? But why is that in your notes? Because my edible kicked in. Why? We should talk about this. So, because Bluetooth just means wirelessly connecting to something, but Bluetooth? Did something look like a Bluetooth?
Well, you know, like the old Bluetooth.
Same with like calling a thumbnail on YouTube. Why did we start calling thumbnails thumbnails?
Well, like, you know how like the old Bluetooths used to be like the little earpiece and it would shine blue?
Yeah, but why tooth?
Because it was shaped like a tooth.
Really?
Like a canine.
Yeah, but was that the first Bluetooth ever?
Girl, I don't know.
This is what happens when my edible kicks in. What did I wrote down something else. There's a line on, when Chad and Stacy are hanging out alone, Drea's not there right before she catches them.
Right before Stacy pees the bed.
Yeah, they're studying, and Stacy's trying to keep it professional, and Chad comes over and sits on her bed.
Oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I really loved, they have this sexual tension moment, and she just says, "You're sitting on my nanoclusters." And I really enjoyed that.
I thought it was going to be like when she like pulls her notes out and she's like, he had two perfect, my notes had like the perfect imprint of his two perfect butt cheeks. And I was,
what?
Yeah,
what?
That's the same thing. Let me, it was a weird moment.
Oh, wait, it's ringing bells. She did, this is what I'm saying.
She objectifies Chad.
Hot wasabi and butt cheek imprints are just weird choices.
She literally objectifies Chad so much.
Well, the nanoclusters line is on page 159, if that helps you.
Thank you. That does help me. I know he wears green apple shampoo.
Ew.
I know. That doesn't smell good.
Or it would just smell too much like candy.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when people describe the smell of somebody's shampoo in a book, it seems gross to me. I'm trying to find the butt cheeks, dude.
I'm trying. Give me a second. Where does it say? What page is
I
it?
motion with a nod at the report beneath his perfectly rounded butt cheeks, and he slides the thing out all mangled from sittage.
Still, the newly formed butt indentations in the soft white paper almost make me want to frame it.
I've never wanted to frame a butt cheek imprint, and I'm proud.
Yeah, I don't think I've really wanted to either.
I've never had the crushes type thing where, you know, they like leave their sweater and you sniff it. I've never been that person. It's okay if you were.
I have.
I've just never, I don't know, I've just never been that type of person.
I just like it when a guy smells good.
This. I mean, yeah, when a guy smells good, it smells good. But
like, oh my God, he blew his nose. I have to keep this. Literally, that's what Donovan was. This is a good. Because that's what Donovan was doing with Drea.
Keeping her dirty tissues?
Yeah, well, like he kept her bra.
Yeah.
He kept her, like, there was like a Diet Coke can with her lipstick on it.
Right. So I guess when men do it, it's being a stalker, and when women do it, it's love.
No, I think it's weird that Stacey wants to do it too. Like, I get it. She's a hormonal teenager, and when I wanted to, like, really smell that, like, guy pheromone stuff, I was a hormonal teenager as well.
But this type of behavior is kind of normalized in the Nickelodeon Disney Channel style of young people crushing media. The normal characters as well also do the crazy thing of like stealing the Kleenex or the whatever.
Or like his shoe or like something.
He touched my history textbook. Like I can never, whatever. And it's just, I mean, maybe it's just because I've never felt that way. I wasn't a big crush person either.
I don't think I really had. There are like a few far between. I never saved a guy's tissue. And I'm proud to say that I haven't. Good. I think it was more like, oh man, he smells really good. Like, I wasn't like,
That's fine.
Yeah. I think that was like, I don't remember. Like I had like my first boyfriend. I would wear his sweaters all the time, and it would just smell good.
But you
and
two
I
were
just wanna,
dating.
Yeah.
I'm talking like when you have a crush.
No,
on
I know.
somebody.
I'm trying to think, and I don't think, you know, it'd more be like, oh, I want to stand closer to him because he smells good. You know,
that's not. I don't know.
No, I'm trying to like. That's where my like line was. I didn't go past that.
Yeah, but there are people that do, and it takes a lot for people to clock it as weird.
Because it's so normalized in society.
When I think it is weird.
It is weird. It's like Helga in Hey Arnold, where she has like
the shrine,
and is like the bubble gum, like made out of bubble gum. Literally, this is what Donovan is doing to Drea.
Yeah, it's also just, I don't know. I think we perpetuate kind of odd behavior because, so when I was in middle school, I remember it was before recess. I remember this so clearly. I was at my locker and this girl, Nicolette, I haven't talked to you in years, Nicolette. If you happen to be watching this, hope you're doing well. But she comes up to me and I'll come up with a fake name. But she says, the only name, John Adams. I don't know. That's the only name I can think of. John, enter her last name here, likes you. And I remember going, who?
What if he was like standing right there?
No, he wasn't. But she said, yeah, he just started going on and on in our class about how he is really into you. And I was like, oh, I don't know who this boy is. And then he, you know, this was in the days of MySpace and Facebook where that evolution
yeah,
was happening.
It was like you were on both.
And he friended me on both.
Did he poke you?
I think this may have been pre-poking.
Okay.
What a weird sentence.
Jesus. There's the title of our episode.
But he, actually, I think this was just MySpace, no Facebook yet, actually. And he friended me, and I friended him back, because also this is the other thing, if women are taught to just be fucking polite.
Yeah.
And he would message me, and I would just politely message him back. But then he would say things like, that was so funny what you said to your friends today at lunch. He and I had never spoken or interacted in real life at school.
Sounds like a real Donovan.
It was creepy. It's creepy. And then he would say things to me. I don't know. He would just say, oh, when you said this thing to your friend, that was so funny. That was so funny. And it was very odd. And I remember my mom eventually telling me politely that I shouldn't not lead him on, because that makes it sound like it's my fault. But she was like,
you need to let him know that you're.
Yeah, don't do this.
Like, you need to let him know that you don't like this.
Yeah, that I'm not his friend, when I was just being polite to him. And then actually in we went on in 8th grade, my school did a Catalina trip. Okay. And we would do scuba diving, and he kept talking to everyone about how he was so excited to see me in a bathing suit.
Dude, come on.
Which is creepy. And then because our last names were similar letters.
God, do you think he wrote like Mrs. Robyn?
Well, no, we were because our last names were alphabetically very close. We were next to each other in line for 8th grade graduation, and the pictures my mom took of me in the 8th grade graduation line, half of his face is in it, and you just see him. And my mom, when we took the photos and looked at them, my mom was like, oh my, it was so.
That's so fucking creepy.
Dude, if you're seeing this, you know who you are. And I hope you grew up to
not
approach women in a more normal manner, because empathy to the middle schooler.
I mean, I was definitely
socially awkward middle schooler.
I was definitely like really socially awkward with guys and was weird around them, and kind of made it like, I just wanted like someone to like me. So it was just like, I definitely kind of was weird. And I think.
But you still talk to them in person.
I did still talk to them in person. But I think sometimes like I could tell that it was not like they wanted it to stop. You know, and I was just like, I didn't know how to, like, I could tell that they were annoyed, and I didn't know how to stop, you know?
I don't know if I've had that experience, but you're still a good person.
Thank you. I was just like, I was going through a lot of issues back then.
But I think when you're
like compassion for who I was.
When you're that age, nobody knows how to do any of it, right?
Yeah.
So this guy who we're calling John, he Yeah, he definitely didn't know. He was a shyer kid, but there is just that unsettling aspect of it to think that somebody had been kind of observing me at school from afar for a while.
And it's really weird that he just kept talking about how he wanted to see you in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
It's icky.
It's just yeah. And then people would just like share these things with me, and I was always
Why did they think that you would want to hear it?
it's
It's like drama. Yeah.
Yeah, the drama, the middle school thing. And of course, I had a big reaction. And of course, there was a part of me that was like, oh, somebody thinks I'm attractive.
Yeah, I was like, I have to give this guy a chance because he thinks I'm attractive.
Not even give him a chance, but just like enjoying the attention for sure. But it was creepy. And
you got to let her
men
go.
are creepy.
She might be gay.
At my gym, it's a women-owned, queer-owned gym, very cool space.
Love it.
And one of the instructors was, because it's a weight training gym and you have 3 sections where you're given, 3 exercises and you rotate through, blah, blah, blah. They were walking us through what those are. And the last one, the instructor, she, it inhaled my spit. There were also 2 other instructors taking that class that were there. And she goes to show us something we're doing, like a bicep curl thing. And she says, and now if we want to get bisexual. And she looked at the other instructor, and then they told a funny story about how that one instructor looked the other one dead in the eyes, but she's straight when she said bisexual. And then when I was doing those, the instructor came out and saw it, and she was like, great, those look great. And I said, but am I bisexual?
Are you?
I think I'm bisexual. I don't think I'm bisexual. But time will tell. Maybe I just haven't met the woman or non-binary friend for me.
Yeah.
So love who you want to love.
To get back to the book.
Right.
I think that Donovan, again, we talked about how, like, I think it could have been more of a twist if we had seen more of Donovan, because it's pretty obvious that it's him just based on like, the fact that he's just.
It's like the author didn't know how to make a twist, so she just placed him solely to be this person. And I think it would have actually been more heartbreaking if there were more intimate connections
like
with him in the social circle.
Yeah.
Because in, a lot of the, like Buffy, for example, there are situations where students do some fucked up things and they have really big they have a lot of emotional weight to them. I think I would have. Also, what I don't like is it implies that the sensitive men that are artists are crazy.
Yeah. But also, like, I think, like, he just went from, a kind of weird guy who didn't really know how to handle his feelings for Drea to, like, this mustache twirlingly, like, evil stalker man.
Yeah, it would have almost been more interesting
if
we learned a little bit more of how he got to that place.
Yeah. And, like, maybe this is not to say, like, I don't know, just, like, the fact that Drea kept flirting with him.
That can fuck with the head.
Yeah. So, like, I could see how,
especially
he got there, but I think it was just, like, it was more like a caricature
of a stalker.
And I didn't really feel it was very realistic.
Yeah, because, there is the type of stalker that does genuinely believe they are in a relationship with somebody they usually don't know.
And this is fascinating. And I thought that could have been interesting because...
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of what they were trying to do with him.
Yes.
But it would have been interesting if they played a little bit more into the fact of he had this delusion around her flirting with him in this sense of we are together, we just can't talk about it, or we can't be vocal about it, or you still have to deal with Chad, or like if he created this whole thing of no, but like when you did this, that was when I knew we were together.
Yeah.
And we are together. We are in love. What are you talking about? Instead, it was more of I'm going to force you to be in love with me, which is definitely something that men have done.
Yeah.
Because men do not take rejection well, and we are called the emotional ones. I'm sorry. But
we talked about this later. Like, men are the emotional ones.
Men are the emotional ones. But
we're just emotional. Like, we're all at the end of the day, we're emotional creatures.
But I think it takes a little bit more for a man to kidnap a girl to convince her to fall in love with him in this type of container versus a man who believes that we are together and you do love me and I have to grab you and bring you here to show you.
Yeah, I think that would have been more interesting.
Yeah, because I think in this other scenario, I think it would have evolved, or in the way that it played out in the book, I think could have evolved in a slightly, for lack of a better word, normal manner of a guy liking a girl in his vicinity, you know? And then, like, even something where Drea has to maybe tell him off and then he feels emasculated.
Yeah, because he's like, he maybe crossed a line and Drea has to like.
Yeah, and then he, you know.
That was kind of like the catalyst for him doing everything.
Exactly.
There is no reason for him to start escalating.
Yeah, unless, you know, something could have happened the year prior in school or whatever.
Yeah, but we didn't really get into that.
And they could have flashed back to that too. It could have been a thing of once they start putting the pieces together, when X, Y, and Z happened between them, things changed.
Yeah. And I also think that, like, we didn't really get enough of Stacy and Mara. So
we get more of it in White is for Magic, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it would have been, so Mara is the little girl that Stacy was babysitting who died. And like, this whole thing, like, where she feels like she has to like stop this and protect Drea is, you know, born of, obviously Drea is her best friend, but is also born of like, I messed up the last time. I'm not going to let that happen again. And I think we needed more of that tension and guilt with Stacy. I think just to drive the point home, if they were going to really make it like, because there's that whole thing at the end where Stacy and Drea are hugging, and then for a moment, Stacy sees Mara, and Mara says, "Thank you." Kind of felt out of the ordinary because we didn't really. They talked about Mara in the beginning, and then we didn't really talk about her again.
But she's brought up throughout.
Yeah, I guess
Stacy brings her up in a fair amount. I didn't feel that, but maybe I am.
Maybe I just wanted more.
Yeah, and maybe I'm also just remembering how much more fleshed out that is in the other books.
Literally can't remember anything about White is for Magic except for
I don't remember the plot point, but or the main plot, but I do have an inkling of a memory that we touch on a lot more of that.
Okay.
But in this, she does mention Mara enough for me, at least.
Okay.
Just in passing. It was quick moments that are easily missed.
Yeah.
Just little things when she's doing a spell, just, you know, kind of reiterating the thing and, well, I ignored this for Mara. Just little pieces throughout the whole thing. So that didn't really bother me. But I get it.
Also, I realized that Drea never actually apologized to Stacy for telling Chad that she wets the bed.
I mean, a lot happened.
That's true.
It would be weird if after she rescues her, the first thing Drea says to her is, I'm sorry for telling Chad
like
that you
she
peed
takes
the bed.
the duct tape off her and she's like, I'm sorry I told Chad. Oh, yeah. I don't think we got into that either. So the reason why Stacy, we kind of did at the beginning, but we didn't really explain it. The reason why Stacy keeps wetting the bed is because she finds Drea
tied up in a
Port-A-Potty. So Donovan takes Drea to this like unfinished house on a construction site, like near,
like in the woods,
near
their campus.
And when Stacy goes there to look for Drea, because that's where her dreams have been telling her to go, she can't find her. And then she's like, oh my God, I have to pee. She finds a Port-A-Potty and, oh my God, it's Drea.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't have to pee anymore.
Ever again.
She never pees again.
No. Her kidneys are failing.
No, her kidneys are great after this. She's peed so much that she doesn't need to pee again.
Right. But yeah, that's why she pees the bed. I mean, I feel like, and maybe this is just because I tend to steer into the skid of these things, and if you try to hide things, it makes it more embarrassing. I feel like I would have been upfront with people, just be like, yo, I'm having nightmares and I keep peeing the bed.
Like, I think once she told Drea, like, I started explaining the nightmares, I feel like she could have been explaining, like, I never do this, but, like, this is a side effect of the nightmare.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to try and figure, it's important.
Yeah. I also find it, like, she she said she stashed a bunch of grocery bags. Buy some pee pads.
Yeah. And she also would like leave them under her bed. And I'm like, girl, that's disgusting. It smells bad.
Yeah, I understand leaving them there if it's 3 a.m.
Yeah. But like clean it the next morning.
Yeah.
Rinse it out at least.
Yeah, get a plastic sheet cover.
Because like, God, their room must have smelled so funky with all the incense and stuff on top of that.
I think if you burn enough incense, it just smells like incense.
I wouldn't want to leave pee-soaked garments under my bed.
But I also don't know how annoying it is to lug your shit down to the laundry
Just go to the bathroom and rinse it out in the bathroom.
Well, she does rinse stuff out in the sink.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they have a sink. Girl.
But she can't do that while Drea's there if she's hiding it.
No, but you can do it the next morning when Drea's not there.
Yeah, but I think they both go to class at the same time.
No.
Like, I think that is the product of her hiding it. But I agree. I think when she finally admits to Drea that she's having these nightmares and what they mean, she could have definitely said, BT dubs, I'm wetting the bed.
Don't tell Amber because she sucks, but I'm only telling you this.
And then I think that would have actually been a
more
much
interesting,
a much deeper betrayal. Yeah, when she tells everybody
that Stacey. Yeah, I agree
because she told her in confidence. Yeah. Should we call Lori and tell her how to write these better?
Yes. Anyway,
well,
I had a lot of love for this series.
Yep.
And I had a good time reading it.
Yeah, very easy read, breezy read. I read it in I read it in 2 nights.
I read it in a day.
Yeah.
It's a quick read.
Yeah, very quick read. Yeah.
I read it on a weekend, so I didn't have anything to do, and you.
Yeah, I read it on just in the evenings after finishing up work.
Yeah, so join us for the next time. We think we're just like gonna go through the series. So next book is
White is for Magic.
White is for Magic.
So we'll see you the week after next talking about that. Next week we'll be here to chit chat.
Talk more about Buffy.
We shouldn't only talk about Buffy. No, we shouldn't.
But I do want to talk to you about Buffy because it's fun.
Let us know if we're getting better at podcasting.
Questions, comments. What did you guys think of Blue is for Nightmares?
Yeah.
If you read it. If anybody remembers this series from their childhood, because I feel like as of now, it's just me and Robyn.
Well, and my sisters, but I found it first at the bookstore and then told them to read it as teenagers.
I think one of my friends in middle school lent me the book.
It's a word of mouth book.
Yeah.
So yes, join us. Leave your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and like and subscribe. We are available on YouTube for us to watch us. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts.
And join us every Wednesday.
Yeah, for shits and gigs.
Yeah. And
I have to
good morrow.
Pee.
We love you.
I have to pee and go find a friend in a Port-A-Potty. I'll be right back.
It's not going to be me.
Nope, you're safe.
I'm already here.
You're safe. It's somebody else.
We're going to go find a friend in a Port-A-Potty.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Who killed your darling?